And welcome, ladies and gentlemen, to a very special edition of the Chokeslam Wrestling Debate. This is the be-all, end-all. 8 players entered this tournament with an opportunity to become the Wrestling Debate Trivia Champion. And now we're at the last 2 people. One of these players, very fine competitors, is going to have the honor and the privilege of being our very first Chokeslam Wrestling Debate Champion. Let's meet the players. Because both of them said they had a little bit of nerves, so we'll give them an opportunity to talk, get some of it out so that they're peak prime performance for this debate. We're going to start with Nico Regoli, the Cosmic Night Fury, who, needless to say, he has talked about how much he has wanted this opportunity to become the champion, and here he is. So far, he's gotten 2 steps down. 1 more to go. Nico, what's going through your mind, other than nerves, as I mentioned, as you head into this final match?
This is title match number 4 for me this year. I don't want to blow it. And I'm feeling a sense of deja vu because Richard wasn't supposed to be in this tournament. Neither was Andrew Hayes for the Combat Wrestling Trivia Tournament. And yet they both came in, and they've both made it to the finals. And I was in the tournament from the very beginning, and I've made it to the finals, and yet Andrew Hayes won in the final match. I don't want lightning to strike twice here. I want to get over this championship drought that I've been on since December of 2017. I want to win a damn title. And I've put in so much work. I've got 9 pages of notes on my lap right here, and I want to make the most of all the work I've put in to get to this point. I wasn't good at debating for the longest time, and now here I am. So, Richard, I wish you the best of luck, but I'm coming for blood.
Way to turn that around into a jab. So let's see what your opponent has to rebuttal for that. Richard, I think a lot of people might have been a little bit surprised that you would be here. Obviously, you had a lot of stiff competition with the likes of Harley, Ryan Payne, but here you are. So what's going through your mind now, since many people may consider you to be the underdog? How do you take that into account as you head into this match?
Well, first of all, Nico, this was the only tournament I was originally in, so you were wrong there. I was in this tournament day 1 as well. This was the only tournament I was technically supposed to be in. Got to be in others. Number 2, I am nervous. Nico's a hell of a competitor. I love wrestling. A little ticked off what he said in his last match, calling me a casual fan. Just because I don't watch every single wrestling organization does not make me a casual fan. I've been watching wrestling before you were born, kid. But yes, Nico, on the other hand, is a great dude. I'm looking forward to this match. I'm nervous. I got prepared. This is the most I've studied. Let's have some fun. And I am so sorry, Nico, once I take this belt away from you. Another crushing defeat.
All right, so the jabs have been thrown and the heads are shaking. Some people agree, some people don't. So here's basically how this is going to work. There are some slight tweaks to this championship match. It's still going to be the first to 3. However, we are foregoing the speed round. These are going to be 5 main round questions. So both of these players have had 5 questions to come up with their answers. They both know what answers that they have come up with, so they both have the opportunity to banter and debate these. In the case that all 5 questions do not get answered, so be it. I guess we'll just use them another time for other people. So without further ado, I'm guessing both of our – oh, and one other thing I forgot. Just like usual, there is a 1-minute extension at any point for pre- or post closing arguments for both of our players should they wish to use them. So other than that, I think that's all the rules that have been mentioned. So we're going to start with this very first question. If you've been watching Fox at any point over the last 3 weeks while you were trying to watch football, they've been shoving down your throat the 20th anniversary of SmackDown coming to Fox ad nauseum, which I guess is good and bad in some cases. But in honor of that 20th anniversary show that's going to air on Fox, we wanted to ask both of our players, what is the best match to have ever aired on SmackDown television? This was the category that was requested by Richard. So because of that, we're going to go to Nico first. Nico, what is the match that you have selected for the best match of SmackDown's era?
So for me, I went with a very recent match, as recent as February 12th, 2019. It was the SmackDown Go Home show before the Elimination Chamber. Daniel Bryan versus Kofi Kingston versus Jeff Hardy versus Samoa Joe versus AJ Styles versus Randy Orton in a gauntlet match. Winner would get the final spot in the Elimination Chamber match. And this match was basically the building block of foundation for what was the phenomenon of Kofi Mania. It reminded you how good Kofi Kingston was as a singles competitor after spending so much time as a tag team wrestler. And he was one of the first two entrants in the gauntlet. He wrestles Daniel Bryan, the reigning WWE champion, for 30 minutes straight and beats him Trouble in Paradise 1, 2, 3. Then he takes on Jeff Hardy, hits the SOS 1, 2, 3. Again, he keeps moving forward. Samoa Joe, he sliced bread, reverses a rear naked choke into a roll up 1, 2, 3. Everyone is shocked. Even Samoa Joe beats the shit out of him on the outside. AJ Styles tries to give Kofi a way out. Kofi says no. He beats his chest proudly, says, I've waited 11 years for this. I'm not waiting any damn longer. Pie faces AJ, shoves him, just pisses AJ off, keeps fighting, makes it 60 minutes, and then AJ gets him with the calf slicer, and then Randy Orton hits an RKO literally out of nowhere. Wasn't even on the TV screen by the time he hits it. 1, 2, 3. He gets the final spot in the chamber. He wins the match, but Kofi Kingston wins the hearts and minds of the audiences as they give him a standing ovation.
All right. Very good pick on Nico's part. Let's see what Richard has to counter with his personal best match of SmackDown.
There have been a lot of great matches in SmackDown throughout the years. However, one match comes to mind when it comes to the best SmackDown match ever to live on air. It was in September 18th, 2003. It was Kurt Angle, the WWE Champion, taking on Brock Lesnar in a 60-minute Iron Man match. Now, not only was this for the WWE Championship, this was also a rubber match of sorts. Brock Lesnar defeated Kurt Angle at WrestleMania. Kurt Angle defeated Brock Lesnar at SummerSlam. This was the match to end who was the better man. They both came out swinging. The crowd was electrified. They were into the match. Brock Lesnar uses the chair to purposely get himself disqualified to give Kurt Angle the first win, can beat him down even more. Brock Lesnar then F5's Kurt Angle. And Brock Lesnar fighting, but this was one of the best Iron Man matches of all time. This was the first Iron Man match to ever be a Raw ever.
All right, so great matches and choices by both of our players. The 5 minutes will begin when the first person begins speaking. So whenever you all are ready, take it away.
So the problem with Iron Man matches is that they're very formulaic in the way they play out and the way the story is told. Either the match is even and falls for the lengthy majority of the match up until the very end, or someone takes a giant lead and then the other person catches up, which is essentially what happened in your match. My gauntlet match, on the other hand, had a lot of unknown variables that increased the interest in the match. You didn't know who drew what number. You didn't know what stories were going to be told in that match. You didn't even know what member of the New Day was going to be replacing Mustafa Ali in the match. You just knew that the winner of the match was going to enter the chamber last later on that week. And I feel like you're kind of coasting a little bit on name recognition in the Ruthless Aggression era, because I feel like this match is a little bit overrated. It's overshadowed by how many dirty tactics Brock Lesnar used to gain an advantage in the match, whereas my match didn't have to rely on dirty tactics, minus the Samoa Joe stuff, but it added to the story long term in a way of helping put Kofi over more. I'll let you talk for a little bit.
Well, you saying that I'm using the Ruthless Aggression era, you're using just top superstars for your match, because that match was pretty kind of boring. I mean, the Kofi versus Daniel Bryan was pretty good.
The audience
Jeff Hardy and Kofi was okay. I would say the audience would disagree with your statements on my match greatly. They were way more amped for my match than yours. You're relying on the facts it was AJ Styles, Jeff Hardy, Randy Orton, Daniel Bryan. and Randy Orton. And
not exactly.
again,
I'm
it was a
relying
lot
on
of the time, Kofi was just struggling through your match. My match, on the other hand, had the greatest.
When you're wrestling
heel
for an
versus-
hour straight, you're going to struggle at times. Like that. That's just called exhaustion. That's how the body works when it's put through physical strenuous activity. So yeah, he's going to get beat up from time to time. But the thing that made the match interesting was he kept coming back for different opponents. He wrestled Daniel Bryan for 30 minutes. Jeff Hardy was primed for was set to pretty much beat Kofi, and then Kofi comes in out of nowhere and beats him. Same with Joe. Comes in out of nowhere and beats him. And then
and that takes away from Joe's abilities, and that kind of hurt Joe than anything else. My match with Brock Lesnar, Kurt Angle went the wire. It brought Brock Lesnar at the prime of his career, where he actually cared about wrestling, where he was not a part-time wrestler. He used the chairs, which no heel really has ever done when it comes to Iron Man matches, where he uses a weapon purposely to injure his opponent.
I'm pretty
sure he F5's Kurt Angle.
McIntyre used it in Pittsburgh at Extreme Rules at the event that I was in. That's why we were kind of just going.
Yeah, but that was after my match. My match was before that match. This was not seen. My match was a WrestleMania type match on SmackDown. We have seen gauntlet matches on both Raw and SmackDown. And your match ended so horribly with 2 seconds, Randy Orton RKO AJ, taking the whole heart that Kofi did, that AJ did, into nothing.
It set up a start for Kofi to make that journey to WrestleMania, for Kofi Mania to just get bigger, because what happened? Because then they gave him and the New Day 2 more gauntlet matches afterwards.
Well, we're not talking about what the match led to. We're talking about this particular match. What was the best SmackDown match? And my match was the best SmackDown match.
No.
Because
there are a lot of matches that were better than yours. For one, my gauntlet match, also the 2 gauntlet matches that followed, and also TLC 4 was better.
Again, we're not talking about your gauntlet match that followed. We're just talking about this particular match. And even then, that second gauntlet match that you're talking about was better than this current one, because at least it gave Kofi a reason to push him even more into WrestleMania. Brock Lesnar, Kurt Angle, it went toe-to-toe. It was the best of 3. And not only that, the title changed hands on SmackDown, which has rarely happened.
Your title didn't change. Yeah.
Yes, it did change hands. Brock Lesnar won the belt from Kurt Angle. And it was Kurt Angle coming back from a 3-1 deficit, coming back from a 4-2 deficit with a 4-3, 5-4, became 5-4. And then right when Kurt Angle got Brock Lesnar into the Kurt Angle ankle lock Brock Lesnar, he was moments from tapping out on the countdown clock. We were assuming Brock Lesnar was about to tap. He did not. The fans were on their feet. The fans were shocked.
And the fans were on their feet for my match more so, because
your match was predictable, because at that point there was no way Kofi was going to be in the Elimination Chamber.
No one thought Kofi was going to even get past the first round of the gauntlet match, and then he beats the WWE champion, and then he beats Jeff Hardy, then he beats Samoa Joe, then he lasts an hour before getting tapped at the brink of exhaustion by AJ Styles, and then out comes Randy Orton. So, and by the way, RKO's sent. Nah.
All right, so that was a good 5-minute debate period from both players. Both brought a lot to this argument. We're going to go into closing arguments now. We started with Nico, so we will go to Nico with the closing arguments. You have 60 seconds for your closing argument. You can take it away whenever you're ready.
Richard said that some of the other gauntlets Kofi and the New Day went through were better than mine. RKO send people home happy. Everyone was surprised with my gauntlet match and how well Kofi did, because they thought, oh, he's just going to get beat by Daniel in the first fall, and then he lasted an entire hour. The problem with the second gauntlet match is that everyone was so happy, and then Vince McMahon screwed him by having him go one more fall, and Daniel Bryan squashed him in that final fall. And the problem with the gauntlet match with Big E and Xavier was there wasn't as much wrestling as there was in the other 2. The Usos forfeited, and while that helped the story, there wasn't a lot of wrestling. And again, I feel like because of the fact that Brock was using cheap heel tactics, it kind of took away from the actual excitement in the match. And there have been other matches on SmackDown that have been better than that one. Again, my gauntlet matches and the TLC 4 match was also better than the Iron Man match as well. So, time's up.
All right. Richard, whenever you're ready, your 60 seconds will begin.
Kurt Angle versus Brock Lesnar was not only for the WWE Championship, was not only for the Iron Man match. It was for who was the better man. It was the third match. Brock won one, Angle won one. Nico says that Brock using the chair, using the heel tactics was cheap. It was not cheap. It was brilliant. It was Brock being the heel. That is what a heel is supposed to be. It is what helps the fans root for Kurt Angle to try to come back, to almost make that comeback. Nico's match was it was okay until that ending when when Randy Orton RKO'd AJ Styles in 2 seconds. It took away from the match that Nico was so pumped up for. It took it away because the ending was so weak. It was so terrible. And he's talking about the RKO out of nowhere. We saw that before last year. I knew they were going to do it again, and they did. The fans saw it coming from in the ring, and again, we saw it before. Brock Lesnar, Angle had the better match. They had the better intensity. You have two men who never went high flying a few times. It was
time.
All right. Good debates by both players, but now rest of the judges' hands. We're going to start with our first judge, which is Doug. Doug, where do you stand on this?
All right. Going over the notes that I took. I always take notes. What gave me kind of inching towards this? Was something that Richard said that I didn't really hear Nico kind of combat, which was that this was basically a WrestleMania match in SmackDown. It was something that you could enjoy. It was something that the title switched hands, which you don't see too often, is what he kind of alluded to. So I didn't really see you combat that too much. Nico, you did a good job bringing up, why it was so important, why this match was important, but not necessarily why it was the best match. When you think of match, you think of like most entertaining. So I'm going to have to give Richard the point on this one.
All right. So Doug sides with Richard on this. Let's go to Cody Newberry, who's like the champion of insert every debate thing here. Cody, where do you stand on this one?
I'm just going to make something real clear moving forward. If somebody overtalks for 3 minutes and 30 seconds again and lets the only person only have a minute and a half, I will literally vote for the person that only gets a minute and a half, because it is not fair to create an argument that you don't get to counter. Nico, I'm talking to you. Keep it under control. You overtalked him the entire time. He barely got any time. I took a time out of it. All that being said, there's a lot of things that Nico threw out, a lot of facts, and that was really good. Throughout the excitement, throughout the numerous characters, he set up the plot well. The problem was the answering the question and the delivery of it that Richard gave. Richard gave me facts that says the gauntlet match and other things were better. Yes, Nico countered that, but he also said the title change chance, which Nico went to correct, but then was proven wrong. Then, on top of that, Nico also he also said that this is the first time like heel tactics were used. He used another point and it kept countering back. So every time Nico tried to get an edge on it, it kept falling back on him because it was able. So he never was able to get that first step. And it was really hard to try to counter the RK out of nowhere that people love, but it kind of killed the momentum that if it was going to be the best match, Kofi should have won, because it kind of led up to that. So I'm going to have to give Richard the first point on this one.
So Richard gets the first point there. He now takes a 1-0 lead, but really liked the arguments that both players gave. So let's go to question number 2. As we discussed before, Richard got to choose the category for the first question. We now go to Nico, who picked the category for this one, and he went to AEW. As we all know, we have a new AEW world champion in Chris Jericho, who then proceeded to lose the title as quickly as he got it at some Longhorn Steakhouse, I believe that's what it was. So we wanted to ask the question, whenever Chris Jericho actually loses the title for real, we want to ask, which wrestler should be the wrestler to dethrone Chris Jericho for the AEW world title? Again, because this was Nico's category of choice, we're going to go to Richard first to see what Richard chose.
AEW is going to be one of the best wrestling organizations that's going to be a real competition for the WWE. They've already had 2 great pay-per-views, which is getting the fans excited. They already signed a bunch of great wrestlers. I'm not going to say superstars because this is AEW. So, but there's only one man that can possibly go toe-to-toe with Chris Jericho. Well, no, there's 2 people. 2 people can go toe-to-toe with Chris Jericho. We already seen the Kenny Omega match versus Chris Jericho. Now it's time to see Cody. We all know, for you, the judges that don't know, Cody as in Cody Rhodes. Cody Rhodes has the premise, he has the look, he has the premise, he has the ring ability, he has the mic ability, he has the likability of the fans, he is a great face, he can become a great heel, and he also helped build AEW. He is one of the main people who got AEW to happen, and Cody Rhodes is the guy to dethrone Chris Jericho. And I concede the rest of my time.
All right. So Richard goes with Cody Rhodes, whatever you want to call him. Let's see who Nico has decided to choose. Who should dethrone Chris Jericho for the AEW World Championship?
So AEW made a calculated move for the longevity of the company by putting their inaugural title on one of the most recognizable and prestigious names in professional wrestling for the past 3 decades, that being Chris Jericho. That said, the company also obviously wants to put a spotlight on the next generation of wrestling. And in my opinion, whoever beats Chris Jericho for the AEW World Championship needs to be a very marketable new star. Emphasis on new. And the new kid on the block that's been taking the wrestling world by storm is the kid who stole the show on the Rosie O'Donnell show when he was just a child singing opera. The inaugural MLW World Middleweight Champion and one half of the current MLW World Tag Team Champions. I'm talking, of course, about Maxwell Jacob Friedman, MJF.
All right. So we've got Cody Rhodes versus MJF. The 5-minute debate period will begin when the first person begins speaking.
So you mentioned... Okay, go ahead first.
No, you go first.
So you mentioned premise, look, charisma. MJF has all of those things. And you also mentioned Cody helped build AEW, and I feel like that's a primary reason why Cody should not be the person to beat Chris Jericho for the title, because he, as the executive vice president of the company, he has to be more careful with how he interacts with the crowd because of the backstage position he has. He doesn't want, again, it would feel weird if the first 2 AEW champions were ex-WWE guys, and especially when you've been saying all this time, helping promote the company that you're helping build, that you want to push new stars. So again, I feel like someone new should be the guy to take the title off Chris Jericho.
All right. Right now, MJF, he's a mid-card. He can be there in time. I can see him being champion one day. The problem with MJF also is, as of right now, he cannot just take on Chris Jericho. He cannot handle him on the mic. He cannot handle him in the ring yet. He's too cocky. He's a great heel. But the problem is Chris Jericho is also a heel. You're not going to want to have 2 heels face off against each other.
Well,
and you can't just switch Chris Jericho to face right away with no reason.
Here's the thing about that, though. The more MJF has been hanging around Cody Rhodes, especially at the last pay-per-view, he's starting to get more of a face reaction by association with Cody Rhodes. And also, Cody Rhodes has said himself in reference to the management side of AEW that he's not going to try to force people to cheer or boo certain people on the roster. He wants fans to like who they like and hate who they hate, and they like/hate MJF all at once because they people on Twitter are saying things to MJF on Twitter just in the hopes that he will respond to them in the meanest way possible back, because they, for some reason, like taking that.
Now, going to your argument against mine, saying Cody shouldn't get the belt because he helps run the company, that is dumb. That's stupid. First of all, just because he's helped building the company doesn't mean he shouldn't have the opportunity to become champion. The fans want him to become champion.
Do they?
And more to the point, yes, they do. The fans love Cody. He's a great face. He's a great heel. And even if they want to make both face or both heels, they can switch it up. Chris Jericho can be a both face or heel. Cody Rhodes can be great face and heel. And the one major flaw against as MJF when it comes to him being the title to dethrone, Chris Jericho.
You said he was
sorry, I'll let you go.
You said MJF was a mid card, but he can become a main event player over time.
One day.
No one's saying that Chris Jericho has to drop the title immediately by the end of this year. No, you can keep the title on him for a couple months, and then MJF will have built himself up to the main event. By that point, he will have built himself to becoming a good face, because if you can be a great heel like MJF, I also feel like you can be a great face as well, because MJF is a talented actor. We've seen that.
Okay, what great matches have MJF been in? What memorable matches has MJF been in?
He was just in a ladder match with for the MLW World Tag Team titles against Teddy Hart and Brian Pillman Jr. But still, they put on a great match in the main event of an MLW
Cody Rhodes
show.
Had a spectacular match against his brother Dustin at Double or Nothing. He had a great match against Randy Orton in WWE. He had a great match with Chris Jericho in WWE. And the problem you have to realize too is AEW is about to go on air to a bunch of new wrestling fans who have not heard of MJF,
and that's why
they have heard of Cody.
That's why they gave the title to Chris Jericho, so they could have someone recognizable to bring newer fans in. But then you should have the person that takes the title off of Chris Jericho be someone new, be someone fresh, be the next generation of wrestling to help push this next generation company and be actual. The
problem is MJF does not right now cannot hold a toe-to-toe with Mike with Chris Jericho. He cannot hold toe-to-toe in the ring with Chris Jericho. MJF is a Miz Dolph Ziggler knockoff.
No, he's way better. His MJF work in MLW where he is killing it on the mic. He is astounding, and his charisma
as a Miz Dolph Ziggler type character. I agree. As a Miz and Dolph Ziggler type character.
Has the Miz wiped his nose with the Canadian flag just to piss off Davey Boy Smith Jr.? No, he has not. Like MJF will go certain lengths to get the proper heel reaction he wants, and I feel like as a face he would do the same. And again, we can have heel versus heel matches in AEW based on what Cody Rhodes has said from a
Cody Rhodes every match puts on a match that's amazing. Cody Rhodes should be the one to take on Chris Jericho because he can keep up with him in the ring, keep up with him in the mic, and then once Cody...
Time.
Yeah, that's why I stopped.
Good enough. Okay, so the 5 minutes is up. Good back and forth from both players, but we're going to go to closing arguments now. We're going to start with Richard. Richard, your final 60-second closing argument will begin whenever you're ready.
Cody Rhodes, whenever he's in the match, he puts on a hell of a match. He had a fantastic match against Nick Aldis at All In. He had a fantastic match against Orton, WWE, Jericho in WWE, Double or Nothing with his brother Dustin. He can keep up with Jericho in the mic area, in the ring area. He is a person that wrestling fans who have not known MJF can recognize once it comes to air on television. You're saying you could wait 4 or 5 months. They're not going to wait that long to change championships because Chris Jericho is getting up there in age. MJF, he is a fun wrestler. I'll give you that. But right now, he just comes off as a tweener heel. He's faced a bunch of mid cards always. He's always been a mid card. I'm not saying he can't be champion. He can become a champion one day, just not quite yet. He has a little bit of a ways to go. Give the fans about a year or so to get familiar with MJF, to give them the chance to cheer him on so he can one day be a great champion. But right now, Cody Rhodes is the man to dethrone Chris Jericho for the belt.
Nico, whenever you're ready, your 60 seconds will begin.
Okay, you say Cody Rhodes puts on great matches every time. Do you remember Goldust versus Stardust? That was a shit show. Also, you think MJF isn't ready for this kind of spotlight, but we've seen time and time again in wrestling that there have been plenty of guys who weren't ready for that spotlight, but they got a shot at the title anyway. I feel like MJF is ready. He has so much charisma in spades. He has a lot of talent that has yet to be tapped, that has yet to be seen. And again, you just give him the months on AEW Dynamite to show what he can do, and audiences will get behind him one way or the other, and he will be ready for that shot against Chris Jericho. Now, right now, Cody is scheduled to face Chris Jericho at a pay-per-view, but the more I hear Cody Rhodes doing interviews to help promote Dynamite, it sounds like he does not want that title shot, and he keeps saying, if Sammy Guevara beats me on Dynamite, then things could change. So he obviously doesn't want the title shot because he knows how bad of a look it would be if the executive vice president is facing for the title against the inaugural champion.
Okay. All right. I'm not going to lie. This is really close to me, but we're going to find out what our first judge has to say. We're going to start with Cody on this one. Cody, where do you stand on this?
I feel like Richard overtalked Nico at times on this match, so it's been back and forth. Again, there's a flow. The question read is who should beat Jericho? They both went two different ways on it. The one that kept pushing the way that in a few years, he'll get there in a few years, the tag matches, the blah, 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 not main card or mid carder. Didn't hear a really good rebuttal against it. Again, there are three judges. And I was really leaning towards Nico, and then his closing said Jericho's supposed to face Cody Rhodes. So it's like there's a shot at that happening. I didn't know about that. No one brought that up. Your opponent didn't bring it up, but you gave me that information. So with all the says talking, the one that has the best shot is Cody Rhodes at that point for me. And that was the nail in the coffin for me because he has a shot. I'm not saying he was going to beat him. I just didn't know they were about to face. I thought this was just a futuristic, but there's actually a shot on the table. So I have to give it to Richard.
All right, interesting. Funny that Nico was the one to bring up that information, but it didn't come from Richard, so I don't really know how much I can actually take that into account. I did like the fact, though, that Nico did bring up about the fact that the natural charisma, he's got everything that wrestling fans want. Did talk about the reluctance, apparently, of Cody not wanting the title shot and wanting to be champion. There are some things I don't personally agree with the whole thing that Nico brought up, but I do think I heard a little bit more in his arguments and shot down a couple more things that Richard brought to the table. So me personally, I'm going to go slightly with Nico. So Doug, it's going to go to you. You're going to be the deciding factor on this. Who gets this point? Where do you stand on this?
Factors. I just love being deciding factors. This is fun time for me. All right, so breaking down to it because I don't want to waste much time. Nico brought up a couple of really good facts about it being new blood. You want somebody new to be your face of your franchise. While Cody Rhodes is the face of the franchise right now, and Jericho is as well, you want somebody that's not old school already WWE. You need them to bring people in, but you need somebody that's going to make them want to stay. Him bringing up the Twitter battles to where people actually get excited to comment him was a big factor. That means fan support is behind him. Where he dinged you a lot, Richard, was the fact that Cody himself knows that he doesn't want to be champion. He also brought it out that it wouldn't look good as the executive producer is the second person to hold the belt. So even if that match happens, who's to say it's not going to go in Jericho's favor? That's how I look at it, what Nico was saying. I have to, unfortunately, because just the facts that Nico was bringing out, I got to give Nico the point on this one.
All right, so Nico ties it up. It's now one apiece. Ironically, both players got the points in the categories that they wanted, so far it's stand pat. So now we're going to go to question number 3, which is going back to Richard. Richard wanted the category of WrestleMania. And with the question that we asked here, obviously when it comes to WrestleMania, we obviously think of celebrity appearances. Celebrities and WrestleMania kind of go hand to hand pretty much since the very first one. So we wanted to ask both of our players, what is the best usage of a celebrity at WrestleMania? So again, because this was Richard's category of choice, we're going to go to Nico to start this. Nico, what is your choice for the best celebrity usage at WrestleMania?
So to start my opening argument here, I despise Floyd Mayweather Jr., but I won't deny that when he entered into WrestleMania 24 for his match with the Big Show, he looked like $1 billion in every way possible. He had money falling from the sky. He got his own music. He was perfectly on cue for his own pyro, which was very flashy. He had a water break in which he drank out of a chalice that was bedazzled to smithereens. He had his own towel boy, and he put in the in-ring work to make the most of this appearance that he had. And I will yield the rest of my time for the back and forth portion of the argument.
All right, so we got Floyd Mayweather at WrestleMania 24. Let's go to Richard. Richard, who have you chosen for the best usage of a celebrity at WrestleMania?
I chose Mike Tyson as the enforcer for the Shawn Michaels Austin match at WrestleMania 14. First of all, that Stone Cold and Shawn Michaels match was fantastic. And since Nico brought up, I can't talk about the backstory of Mike Tyson for the Stone Cold, which kind of sucks. But Mike Tyson did a fantastic job as the enforcer. He was wearing the DX shirt. You all thought he was going to go help Shawn Michaels retain his belt. Not only did he not help, he ended up, after when Steve Austin pinned Shawn Michaels got pissy at Mike Tyson, and Mike Tyson knocked Shawn Michaels the F out. Mike Tyson was a celebrity. He was the baddest man on the planet in boxing. Stone Cold Steve Austin was the baddest man of wrestling at that time. Mike Tyson did not get involved in the match. He was there to be the enforcer. He was very intimidating as the enforcer. Shawn Michaels Steve Austin match was fantastic, and I'll go more into the arguments as we go on. I yield the rest of my time.
All right, so we got arguably the two greatest boxers of each generation. We have Floyd Mayweather versus Mike Tyson. The 5 minutes will begin when the first person begins speaking.
Okay, you said Mike Tyson.
Floyd Mayweather. Oh, sorry.
You said Mike Tyson didn't get involved, but here's the thing. As the special enforcer, when the ref doesn't see something, you're supposed to lay down the law. And Mike Tyson didn't lay down the law every time Shawn Michaels hit Stone Cold Steve Austin with a blunt object and the ref didn't see it. He should have laid down the law, and he didn't. So in a sense, he's actually helping Shawn Michaels with the match to an extent by his reluctance to do anything as per the requirement of his job.
First of all, exactly, because that was the whole point of the storyline towards it, that Mike Tyson was team degeneration DX. Wow, I'm having some word troubles today. It was DX. That means Austin was kind of facing a handicap match. But Mike Tyson, Floyd Mayweather, sorry, your match was just terrible. It was just another way to humiliate Big Show as it was. There was no way Big Show, there was no way they're going to let WWE let
Big
Mayweather
Show actually
lose.
looked strong in this. Big Show actually looked strong in this because technically he was in a handicap match of his own, fighting like 7 men at once. He literally bum rushed every single one of Floyd Mayweather's goons, which actually works well to the usage of Floyd Mayweather because he is that type of douchebag who would have an entourage of yes men goons surrounding him at all times. He would have that bedazzled chalice. He would have that swagger, and we got to see Floyd show off his boxing very well in this match against Big Show, and Big Show countered it very well. He did things like try to attack Floyd Mayweather's arm, trying to stomp on it, and even actually stomping on it at one point. Big Show tried to he throat lifted Floyd onto the top rope, and then Floyd somehow countered into a rear naked choke and nearly took Big Show out with it before Big Show countered with a judo throw.
The point is, everyone knew Floyd Mayweather was going to win. The WWE was not going to let a celebrity lose at a WrestleMania and not lose against Big Show, especially Floyd Mayweather's reputation of being undefeated. There has not been a celebrity who has appeared in a match at WrestleMania that's ever lost.
Is that a bad thing?
No, but it's a boring fight. It was just a match to humiliate the Big Show.
It wasn't, though, because people were going to tune into that fight for the slim possibility of Big Show actually beating Floyd Mayweather.
It was considered one of the worst matches of all time.
Best usage of a celebrity, the way they marketed this fight, the greatest fighter in the world versus the largest athlete in the world. Anything goes, pinfall, submission, or knockout. That stipulation helped Big Show's chances of winning the match.
He was never going to win. There was no chance of Big Show winning.
We can say that from a behind-the-scenes standpoint, but
Mike
back
Tyson
then, when we weren't the IWC all the time, you can say that nobody gave Big Show a shot in hell, but keep in mind the IWC, the Internet Wrestling Community, wasn't as strong in the know-how back then as they are now. So they probably thought, there's a chance Big Show could actually win this because giant man versus tiny boxer, as good as that tiny boxer is. So I feel like they kept it pretty even. The booking was very well done, and they helped. And the thing that happened in this match actually.
All right, can I talk a little bit now since you've been talking a lot?
Yes, you may. Sorry.
Mike Tyson, the reason the best usage of a celebrity is a match where the celebrity doesn't wrestle. That is the best use of celebrity because most of the time the celebrities can't wrestle, which Floyd Mayweather didn't really do that great of a job. Mike Tyson was the enforcer. He was not in the match. Stone Cold Austin Shawn Michaels match was still a fantastic match. It was a great, solid, good main event match, and it led up to Mike Tyson after when he did the fast 3 count for Austin pulling up the win for the championship. Then also Mike Tyson knocking out Shawn Michaels, which, by the way, after that match, it led to the new DX, which helped defeat WCW in the Wars. But again, we're not talking about that. We're talking about this match. So Floyd Mayweather, again, sorry.
I actually want to hit on that because you say that the new DX helped bring upon the Attitude Era, and the thing is, the Attitude Era is very overrated. It's just a bunch of dick jokes and Jerry Lawler talking about how good the women on the roster are. Good looking, I mean to say. And you say best usage of a celebrity is when they don't wrestle. Stephen Amell would very much like to disagree with you on that. He's one of the best celebrity wrestlers of all time, and now he has his own show about professional wrestling that's coming out on Stars later. So celebrities can put on good matches when they put in the work, and Floyd Mayweather Jr. put in a lot of work to make this match what it was. This match was actually so good that they had a network special on the behind-the-scenes stuff leading up to this match and whatnot. So they treated this match like it was a big effing deal because it was a
squash match, and it led up to Floyd Mayweather using brass knucks to punch Big Show and to get knocked out. Again, it was just to humiliate Big Show. There was no chance Floyd Mayweather was going to lose the match. Mr. T beat Rowdy Piper WrestleMania 2. There was no way they're going to let a celebrity lose a match at WrestleMania. It's never happened.
All right, good back and forth by both players. We're going to go to closing arguments now. We're going to start with Nico. Whenever you're ready, your final argument will begin.
Squash matches indicate that Big Show was made to look weak, and he wasn't. He had to fight off 7 guys, and he did a pretty good job of it up until Floyd Mayweather got the hold of those brass knucks and was able to put Big Show out. But the fact that he needed a weapon to put Big Show out, also a chair. He needed a chair to put Big Show out, too. The fact that he needed those weapons just shows how much of an even match, an even fight it actually was. And the story build-up for this match actually helped 4 years later in the build-up between Big Show versus Cody Rhodes, because it played into the Big Show's never had a WrestleMania moment. This is one of those matches where he was robbed of a WrestleMania moment, and it helped in the build-up. So Floyd Mayweather is actually having a great usage, not just in the WrestleMania that he was at, but he's also being used effectively 4 years down the road at a WrestleMania he's not even technically a part of. And again, Floyd Mayweather never puts himself in positions where he's going to look bad. And he looked like $1 million. Best usage of a celebrity. He looked like $1 million. Case closed. Damn, I just realized there was something I was going to say that I forgot. Shit.
Oh, too bad. Richard, whenever you're ready, your 60 seconds will begin.
Nico's talking about the future after that match. He can't use it because I couldn't use the story build-up for the Mike Tyson Austin towards that WrestleMania. So that's out the window. Floyd, just a boring match. There were some moments that could have been okay, but again, there was no chance that Big Show was going to win. They have never let a celebrity lose at a WrestleMania. There was no interest. There was nothing. It was just a way to humiliate the Big Show. Mike Tyson, on the other hand, helped Shawn win to retain the belt. He was there. He was a presence to be known. When Mike Tyson was there, you felt his presence, even when he wasn't in. The fact that he wasn't in the ring. Austin, Shawn Michaels, still one of a great, fantastic WrestleMania main event match. To add perfectness, Stone Cold stunning Shawn Michaels, Mike Tyson going for the 1, 2, 3, Shawn Michaels getting pissed, and watching Mike Tyson knock out Shawn Michaels. Honestly, that right there is believable because Mike Tyson was the hardest hitting boxer of all time. Mayweather losing Big Show, not likely.
All right. Good back and forth by both players. I'm going to start with this one. I did like the fact that they went on with different aspects on this. Obviously, Nico with Floyd, obviously having the in-ring persona in this, and Richard going with the outside persona of what makes a better celebrity usage. When it came down to it, I think I just heard a little bit more from Nico, kind of putting it in perspective of what makes a better usage of a celebrity, because of the fact that he kind of put Big Show over in a sense, kind of made him look like a star, made himself look like a star, pretty much made everybody look like a star in that match. While I think there was a couple of things that Nico might have missed to kind of shoot down Richard's argument a little bit, I think I just heard a little bit more from his side. So me personally, I'm going to go with Nico on this one. But let's see. Let's go to Doug next. Doug, where do you side on this?
Simply enough, I didn't hear enough from Richard to why it was the best. Why it was the best use of a celebrity. He's empowering. He's that, but I didn't really see what kind of he kept attacking Nico's argument too much and not giving much for his own. Where Nico kind of built up why it was a great usage of getting a superstar kind of into the forefront of people's attention during that match. He also brought up the fact that it wasn't just Floyd Mayweather, it was Floyd Mayweather and his goons that he was facing, which was a big point for me. I think Nico's got the point on this one for me.
Right, so that's 2 for Nico. So obviously if Nico gets the next point here, this match will be officially over, and we will have a champion crowned. So we now go to question number 4, which was Nico's category of choice, and he went to the far east of New Japan Pro Wrestling, I think to the surprise of absolutely nobody. So we went from kind of our WrestleMania event in WrestleMania. Now we go to New Japan's WrestleMania event, so to speak, which is Wrestle Kingdom. And we wanted to ask both of our players, what is the best Wrestle Kingdom event? So again, because this is Nico's category, we're going to start with Richard on this. Richard, what is your selection for the best Wrestle Kingdom show?
Okay, I chose Wrestle Kingdom 11. By the way, I watched Wrestle Kingdom 11 and 12. I've never really gotten to watch New Japan Wrestling, so that's why I'm using my notes. It started off with the New Japan Rumble. It was the pre-show. It was fun. Then number 2, it was Tiger the Dark versus Tiger Mask W. The third match was the Young Bucks versus Roppongi Vice for the IWGP tag team belts, the junior tag team belts. Number 4, you had Los Angeles. It was for the 6-man never openweight 6-man tag team championship. I'll go into that once we go into the match. Match 5 was Juice Robinson versus Cody. You had Adam Cole versus Kyle O'Reilly. But you had Naito and Tanahashi, the 10th match, but the best match of the night, one of the best matches of all night, was the Okada Omega, the first match of the series. It was a fantastic match. I'm going to list the rest of it when we go into the arguments, but the best Wrestle Kingdom was Wrestle Kingdom 11. I didn't want to butcher anything names, and I do all the time.
All right, so we have Wrestle Kingdom 11 from Richard. Nico, which Wrestle Kingdom have you chosen for your favorite?
So the people who run New Japan saw Wrestle Kingdom 11 and they said, hold my beer for the very next year, because they came out with Wrestle Kingdom 12. They went balls to the wall with the booking in this match. You have 3 core members of the Bullet Club in the never open weight 6-man tag gauntlet championship match. That's how stacked it was that they had to put 3 of their big Bullet Club guys in that match. You've got a great match between Hiroki Goto and Minoru Suzuki for the never open weight championship, hair versus hair, by the way. You've got they had a great match, a rare 4-way for the junior heavyweight title between Marty Scurll, Will Ospreay, Hiromu Takahashi, and who was the fourth one? I have too many notes. Kushida. I'm sorry. You had great match. You witnessed the birth of baby Switchblade Jay White as he took on Hiroshi Tanahashi. And, of course, you had Chris Jericho taking on Kenny Omega in the first of their series. And you had Kazuchika Okada defending against Tetsuya Naito, who's looking for revenge because he's still miffed about what happened at several Wrestle Kingdoms prior when the Intercontinental Championship match upstaged him and put his heavyweight title match on the co-main event.
All right, so Nico kind of fumbled a little bit there. We're going to see if that cost him a little bit. We're now going to go to the 5-minute debate period. I think it's going to be very interesting to see where both of these players go with this. So the 5 minutes will begin when the first person begins speaking.
Okay, Wrestle Kingdom 11, you had Adam Cole versus Kyle O'Reilly. It was way too short of a match for the result that it had. If Adam Cole is going to make history by becoming the first 3-time ROH champion, it should be in a much longer match, especially if he's reclaiming it from the guy who took it from him. And the fact of the matter is this match just didn't have enough time because they weren't New Japan guys. They were Ring of Honor guys, and New Japan guys were at the forefront of your show. Your junior heavyweight title match at Wrestle Kingdom 11, you had two of the guys that were in my four-way, Hiromu Takahashi and Kushida, and they're two of the best cruiserweights in the world. But again, the hold my beer aspect, they had to add in Will Ospreay and Marty Scurll to make it even better the next year at my Wrestle Kingdom. And Will Ospreay got to live his dream. He said in interviews candidly, I will not leave New Japan until I become IWGP Junior Heavyweight Champion. And he got to live his dream at this particular pay-per-view.
All right, I'm going to stop you right there. You're saying that my matches were too short. Your matches were too long. Your main event, your main event, Okada and Naito, they gassed out within 15 minutes of the match. They were exhausted. Your Omega and Mega Jericho match, it was fun, but it was not as good as the my Omega Okada match.
Your match,
I have seen main event. I have seen better. We have seen better no disqualification matches.
And I've seen better Okada versus Omega matches. You said so that the other matches were better than this one in your debate with Ryan Payne several weeks ago. Your
only memorable match out of your card was your Fatal 4-Way. That was a fantastic match.
No, I have plenty of memorable matches. I have Omega versus Jericho. It was so damn good that the second match that they did at Double or Nothing failed to live up to expectations.
It was not good. It was really kind of boring. Like the only thing that was interesting about it was when Chris Jericho knocked out the referee and then put the walls of Jericho on his son. That was the most interesting thing.
The match,
and you even saw
the match.
The camera caught. Oh, sorry.
The match was great because Jericho got to be free for the first time in 20 years because he had been kept on a leash by Eric Bischoff and Vince McMahon since leaving Japan back in the mid-90s. This was his big return, and he pretty much reinvented himself yet again for this match. It was Omega versus Alpha, and they made it that way. They made it spectacular. And then you have the main event, Okada taking on Naito. Basically, New Japan's John Cena taking on New Japan's CM Punk.
And the majority of the match was Naito getting his butt whooped throughout the whole thing.
And the majority
both of them got gassed out within 18 minutes, and that was a 30-something odd minute match. It was kind of really brutal to watch. And my Goto match was better than your Goto match. Your hair versus hair.
No.
Suzuki did not have any hair, really. So he lost the belt and he lost whatever little hair. Goto did Suzuki a favor. That haircut was atrocious. He did him a favor.
The storyline behind that never openweight championship match of Minoru Suzuki having embarrassed Goto so many times in the past year. Goto is an honorable samurai. He wanted one more chance, and he was willing to put his honor, his hair on the line in this match. And they went back and forth because they are just balls to the wall, gritty veterans in this business, and they put on a fantastic match. And I love that, unlike where heels in America will run away, Minoru Suzuki shaved his own head. He did the honorable thing and shaved his own head. And your main event, it pretty much
that's Japan custom. That's Japan custom to shave your own head. That's Japan's custom to do that.
Well, then he followed custom, and that brings a specialty to the match itself and to the event that you got to witness a Japanese custom at play, something American audiences might not be familiar with. And also, your main event, it pretty much undoes the prestige of the Rainmaker because Okada spammed it like so many times, and Omega kept kicking out of it. It's the same issue that Shima had at Fight for the Fallen when he kept spamming the Meteora, and Omega
Naito kept on kicking out of the Rainmaker too in the Okada match of yours. He kept on kicking out too. Yes,
not as much.
He still kicked out more than once, so you can't use that argument when clearly your match had the exact same thing. And by the way, my Young Bucks versus Roppongi Vice
had 10 Rainmakers, and my match only had like a short handful. That's saying something.
Mine only had
to move better.
Mine had 5 attempts, 3 actually hitting. So you're just exaggerating that number. My Young Bucks Roppongi Vice was way better than the Young Bucks from whoever they were facing.
Young Bucks had Roppongi 3K, so basically the same thing but a different iteration. And
my match was way better. And also, your Rumble, your New Japan Rumble was way too long for the result that it came out to be.
If it's good, you can get away with length. If it's good, you can get away with length.
It was not good. Sorry.
All right.
This is fun.
5-minute debate period is up. We're going to go to the closing arguments. We're going to start with Richard. Richard, whenever you're ready, you can begin your closing argument.
I'm going to use my minute extension.
All right. So your 2 minutes now will begin whenever you're ready.
Wrestle Kingdom 11 was the best show than Wrestle Kingdom 12. You had Adam Cole, Kyle O'Reilly. He's saying the match was too short. It was a perfect amount. Adam Cole, fierceness, spitting on Kyle O'Reilly, giving the intensity to Kyle O'Reilly, and that was a strong match. Cody Rhodes made his debut against Juice Robinson. It was his New Japan debut. So it was a short match. It was a good match. Both individuals showed what they can do. Like I said, the Young Bucks versus Roppongi Vice was a fantastic match. They showed the charisma of both the Young Bucks, the intensity of Roppongi Vice. I'm just going to go on to my Goto Shibata match was fantastic. Goto proving the fans wrong, proving Shibata wrong, that he can go to distance, that he can win, that he can capture the belt. Naito versus Tanahashi was a fantastic match. Both superstars embraced the charisma and Omega was the match that started this other 6 great other fantastic matches. It was a great 40-something minute match. The fans were really into it. By the way, Wrestle Kingdom 12 had 10,000 more fans than mine did, but my crowd was louder than Nico's. Both his Omega, Jericho, Okada, Naito, they were not as good as the Kenny Omega and Okada match. Okada, Naito were gassed out halfway through their match. It was getting exhausting. A fun match, but we have seen better no DQ matches. It wasn't the greatest thing. The camera actually showed Omega cutting himself purposely after when he got hit through the chair. So that was kind of bad on the camera angle's part. And again, there was nothing really memorable about Nico's matches other than the Fatal 4-Way. And that is clearly why Wrestle Kingdom 11 had the better matches and the better ring fan crowd.
All right. Nico, whenever you're ready, your closing argument can begin.
You say Colin O'Reilly had the perfect amount of time, not for the stakes at which were at play, especially considering their rivalry with each other. It needs more time to breathe. Cody made his debut versus Juice at your pay-per-view. Whoop-de-doo, he had a much better match against Kota Ibushi at my Wrestle Kingdom. You keep saying Okada versus Omega was great, but again, yours wasn't the best Okada versus Omega match. I have visual proof of you saying that on this channel of TMG Entertainment. You say Okada and Naito gassed in my match. I beg to differ, but also the storyline implications at play here. Again, you have Okada trying to break his own records, and you have Naito trying to undo the stench of having been pushed to the side by the Intercontinental Championship match several years prior. That's why he was beating up the Intercontinental Championship at the Wrestle Kingdom 11 event. And you say the Fatal 4-Way is all I had. It's still a much better match than the Junior Heavyweight Championship match that you had. And again, storyline with Goto and Suzuki was brilliant as well.
All right.
Ooh, this was fun. Good job, Nico, for both.
So good arguments from both players. So now we got to go to the judges. We're going to go back to Doug. on this one. Doug, where do you stand?
So much information, guys. So much information. It was pretty much impossible to like take notes. So like it's all memory based. So I'm sorry if I missed a few things. I think when it comes down to it, every argument that Richard had, Nico kind of counteracted. What really hurt Richard was, basically, trying to the pit of each match, going against each match. It's kind of hard to do that. There was no actual focus from either competitor on why in whole this was the best Kingdom match. There was no like, oh, well, this fans were like super. Richard had said something about the fans cheered more, but then Nico was like, the fans cheered more than mine too. I would have liked a little bit of description. Going on the information that's given, all I can go on and say is that my point goes to Nico because it's a lot of information to take in, and it's where I heard the arguments. So I couldn't take as many notes. Sorry, guys.
All right, so Doug sides with Nico. We're going to go to Cody next. Obviously, I think you know the stakes, Cody. If you agreed with Doug's verdict, we're going to have a winner here. So where do you stand?
I don't know what the fuck they were talking about. I'm going to be honest with you. There was a lot of Hisha Kushao. I don't know. One match is better than the other. It's just a bunch of hearsay, bishay. I don't know. But there was counter thrown from both. There was literally an argument that one crowd had less people in it, but it was louder. I don't know why the hell that matters, but apparently it does in this. There was battles. There was stuff. One doesn't know it. One knows it. I have no way to side with it because I don't believe either one of them argued it the best because they tried to do match card versus match card, and that's a dumb way to fight for me because there's like 11 of them. Who I don't even know after the third match what you said. In the counter blows, I'm saying one is it's opinion based on both. I'm going with Richard and letting Jeremy decide this because at this point, you guys made no fucking sense. Like, it doesn't decide. He'll decide the winner. I have no clue what you said. Next time, let's not do an entire pay-per-view card because these two or no one can debate them properly.
It is hard to debate an entire pay-per-view.
Let's go an entire crowd yelling, woo!
And it's really hard to debate when we have to share 5 minutes.
It's the clap-o-meter, guys. It's the clap-o-meter. Just clap and I'll...
Okay, so Cody did the Admiral thing and just gave it to me to let me decide. I was kind of back and forth on both arguments. I did like the fact that both brought up better matches that each player had. Nico kept bringing up the fact that Okada Omega match was not even the best one of that particular feud at that Wrestle Kingdom. But to my knowledge, I don't think they ever had another match at another Wrestle Kingdom. So I think that is kind of irrelevant. So I couldn't really take that into account. So while Nico kind of thought that was actually a good bullet point because Richard had said that in the past, it doesn't really mean anything because that's not really what the point of the question was.
Worth a try.
But I was at least aware of that based on that. So unfortunately, it didn't really help Nico's argument there. And I like the fact that Richard never bothered countering that because he kind of knew that. Based on that, it kind of hurt Nico's argument there because that was kind of a fake, bullet point that he tried to use. And I think that kind of disqualified his argument for the most part on that. So you all were kind of even on that, but because of that, I had to go slightly towards Richard on this, honestly, and I didn't really want to do that, but unfortunately, Richard, for the most part, used his bullet points. They were factual. Nico tried to use something that didn't really affect the argument at all, so I'm going to have to give the argument to and the point to Richard on this. So we're now tied up at 2 apiece. Exactly what both players, I'm sure, wanted, coming down to the final question, which, as Nico has once said, he hates speed rounds. So congratulations. You don't have to worry about that because this is an actual debate thing. So
real quick, good luck, Nico.
What?
Say it real quick. Good luck.
Thank you.
Last question. Yeah.
So this final question is actually kind of fun because we were actually planning to use this one in a previous match earlier in the tournament, but it never got thrown out. So we thought, why the hell not? All of us in the group liked this question, so we're going to throw this out right now. Obviously, there's a lot of great wrestling matches out there that can be shown to non-wrestling fans to get them into wrestling. But we wanted to ask both of our players, what is a match that you can show to a non-wrestling fan to get them into wrestling? There's a lot of different ways you can go with this one, and I'm curious to see where both of our players are going to go with this. Because this was not a category that was thrown out by either of our players, we're just going to go. I believe Nico started in the first question and third, so I guess we're going to start with Nico on this one. Nico, whenever you're ready, what is the match that you would show a non-wrestling fan to get them into wrestling?
Okay, so let's say you tried to get into wrestling, you started with WWE, and it wasn't for you. Wrestling is a bigger bag of items than WWE will allow it to be sometimes. The independent scene always has something that might speak to someone that the WWE couldn't reach. And in an era in which WWE didn't really have any competition, there was this promotion called TNA that was building up steam and became sort of the new kid on the block when AJ Styles, Samoa Joe, and Christopher Daniels faced off in a 5-star classic back when star rankings actually followed their own rules at Unbreakable 2005 for the X Division Championship. It was a match that was so brilliant, TNA retired the Unbreakable pay-per-view after 2005 because they didn't want to try bothering to top that main event in 2006. It's a match that highlighted what TNA and its X Division were all about and what wrestling should be about, no limits. And when you're trying to reach a new wrestling fan, they should be able to explore every possibility wrestling has to offer, and that's exactly what this match did. And if you want to check it out, it's on TNA's YouTube channel right now, so go see what I'm talking about.
All right, so Nico is going with the old classic TNA for his argument. Let's see what Richard has chosen for this question of converting a non-wrestling fan into a wrestling fan. What match, Richard, have you chosen?
First off, this is a person, if it's a person who has not been a wrestling fan, they didn't know anything about wrestling. So that's a blank slate. So why not bring in one of the best WrestleMania matches of all time, Shawn Michaels versus Undertaker, WrestleMania 25. It was the streak. Undertaker was 16-0. No one could able to beat The Undertaker at WrestleMania, but one man possibly could. One man who steals the show in WrestleMania year after year after year. Mr. WrestleMania. It was in Houston, Texas, and this match was absolutely brilliant. It showed the charismatic of Shawn Michaels, the intensity of The Undertaker, back and forth action, non-stop entertainment from beginning to end, where Shawn Michaels unfortunately came up a little bit short, and Undertaker became 17-0. And I will continue more on this when I go into the debating.
All right. Both are really good choices here. There's a lot of different ways that both of our players can go with this. We're going to find out where they choose to go with it. The 5 minutes, the very important 5 minutes, will begin when the first person begins speaking.
Okay, I just want to say, you say that the question is referring to people with blank slates, but the question does not say that. So for all we know, we could be talking about someone who maybe tried to get into wrestling and it didn't work out because of what they saw as their first source of material.
It says non-wrestling fan into a wrestling fan.
That doesn't mean they haven't seen wrestling in the past. I started out as someone who,
for all they know, they saw TNA and didn't like it then. How's that?
I watched an episode of SmackDown, I didn't like it, and then I watched TNA and I became a fan. So everyone's journey to becoming a wrestling fan is different. We don't have to say that they're a complete blank slate. And so when you show someone a match that gets them invested into wrestling, they also become invested in the people who are in that match. And using that line of thinking, the problem with your match is WrestleMania 25 was sort of as good as it got for Shawn Michaels and Undertaker down the road because their rematch at WrestleMania 26 failed to live up to the hype of the original.
We're not talking about WrestleMania 26. We're talking about WrestleMania 25.
But again, you start out as when you watch a match, you follow the careers of the people who are in the match, and you want to start out with a good spot that they can start off at. And my match does that. It's a good match that you can start off and then later on follow the careers of AJ Styles and Christopher Daniels and Samoa Joe as they evolve with the wrestling business, as they age with time. You with your match, Shawn Michaels and Undertaker, that was as good as it got for them because Undertaker sort of overstayed his welcome a few
as
years
good
later.
as they got for when they were both 44 years old. While your match, AJ was 20 at the time, Samoa Joe was 26, Christopher Daniels was 35, and Christopher Daniels was the champion at the time, and he was useless in that match.
Oh, how
like literally,
dare
he was
you,
getting his
sir.
butt kicked throughout the whole match. And the only thing memorable about your match is when AJ and Samoa Joe and sometimes Christopher Daniels do high flying. But pro wrestling is more than just acrobatics and high flying.
You're right, it
Shawn
is.
Michaels,
and my match showcases everything.
No,
about
all it
wrestling.
showcases is just the high-flying maneuvers.
Bullshit, because it shows striking, it shows submissions, it shows chain wrestling, it shows counters, it shows ring psychology, it shows double team moves, it shows combinations of everything. To go through some of the spots, like AJ Styles did a spiral tap on Daniels while he was getting choked out by Joe. You have Joe hitting AJ with a running knee into Daniels while he was stuck in the tree of woe. You have Joe basically trying to spear Daniels out of the ring, misses and goes flying out of the ring. Like these guys were going balls to the wall to put
again.
on the best
I'm going to say
possible and showcase
it's
every
good
aspect of wrestling that there is in existence. Because
it's good. Okay, you've been talking a lot now. Hold up, my turn now. Yeah, you had some great high flying, but guess what? They were in their 20s, and Chris Daniels in his low 30s. My guys were 44 years of age, and they were just as high flying as your guys were, just as energetic as your guys were. And this is for non-fans. After an individual sees my match, they're going to want to see Undertaker's streak from every single WrestleMania match from the streak. They're going to want to see Shawn Michaels' match at WrestleMania, why he's called Mr. WrestleMania. Your matches was okay. High flying was all it really was. The camera angles in your match was terrible, by the way. Your camera angles in that match was terrible. It was in some weird ass angle. You missed quite a bit. Your announcers were screaming all the time when they didn't need them for me screaming. My announcers were perfect. The fans were more engaged than yours were. When Undertaker dove over the top rope, he dove over the top rope and missed Shawn Michaels, but landed on the referee. A 44-year-old man, 6'10", 300 pounds, diving over.
He nearly died. He shouldn't be trying those types of maneuvers.
And yet he did it, and that's what made the match amazing. Two 44-year-olds versus three people, two of them in their 20s, one in the low 30s. And mine was more exciting than your match.
Generation. Do you want to see old people wrestling, or do you want to see the next generation and follow them through
the
journeys of their
wrestling
long careers,
legends, wrestling the level of wrestling? Two wrestling legends wrestling the way your guys are wrestling in their 20s and 30s. Hell yes, I would see that match every single time.
But when a legend puts on a match of the caliber of yours, that's as good as it gets for them because they've been past their heyday. In 2005 at Unbreakable, AJ Styles, Christopher Daniels, Samoa Joe, they all had a lot of promise for the future, and this match showed it. This match showed it perfectly. They got 5 stars in an era in which WWE wasn't getting 5-star matches until NXT.
It got 5 stars because AJ Styles, Samoa Joe, Christopher Daniels really doing anything other than get his butt kicked.
You're not making any sense. I've just laid out that they showcased every aspect of wrestling possible.
And by the way, your turning point in 2009 was the same thing, and it was better than that was. Ooh,
all right.
This is fun.
So very crucial closing arguments are coming up here. I don't think I need to say what's at stake here, but I'll say it anyway. There's a wrestling debate championship on the line with these closing arguments. So, Nico, whenever you're ready, your closing argument can begin.
I'm going to use my extra time. Give me a minute to formulate my final argument here.
I figured you would. So your 2 minutes will begin whenever you're ready.
Okay, first off, nobody talks about Turning Point 2009. They always talk about the original match between AJ Daniels and Joe. And again, you want to start off fans with a match that allows them a journey that they can follow forward, not backward, forward. And AJ Styles went on to have a prominent career in TNA, in New Japan, in Ring of Honor, and now in WWE. Samoa Joe had a prominent career in TNA, in Ring of Honor before that, but also a little bit after that, and then NXT, and now he's on the main roster as well. Christopher Daniels had a great run in TNA as an X Division champion, as a tag team champion. He got to become the first Grand Slam champion at Ring of Honor, and now he's one of the staples over at AEW. And they got recognized because of what they did in that match at Unbreakable 2005 and down in the future. The thing about your match is it's as good as it got for Shawn Michaels and Undertaker because they were at the age where they were winding things down. It was basically a Saudi Arabia match that wasn't in Saudi Arabia that stuck the landing. You can't, if you had said like the casket match between them or the Hell in a Cell match, then you would have the perfect starting point for the non-wrestling fan that you're trying to convert so that they can move forward in time with the journeys of Shawn Michaels and The Undertaker and watch them have outstanding matches throughout their career. It feels weirder when you go backward. To touch on some of the great spots that my match had, just to close out here, you had Daniels doing a monkey flip in midair, which AJ countered and hitting Joe with a Hurricane Rana. Again, you had the spot with the rear naked choke and the spiral tap. You had Joe transitioning into an STF immediately after a power bomb, and Daniels only kicked out at 2. You have them doing things that you don't see anyone else in wrestling doing, especially in the WWE, because Vince handicaps his wrestlers from doing those types of things. And Undertaker nearly killed himself trying to do those types of things as he killed that cameraman.
All right, Richard, whenever you're ready, the final minute of this match will begin.
Shawn Michaels, Undertaker, these two gave out a brawl at 44 years of age each. They were able to do things that Nico's match could do over twice their age. They had intensity. Shawn Michaels using the sweet chin music twice. Undertaker not staying down. Undertaker tombstoning Shawn Michaels. Shawn Michaels kicks out was absolutely amazing. Undertaker diving over the top rope, landing on the cameraman, fantastic. Shawn Michaels doing a moonsault off the turnbuckle was amazing. Your match, all you talked about was the high flying. You said the best parts. You said none of the best parts was Christopher Daniels. You told me it's better to look forward than look behind. TNA is so terrible right now, they changed their name to Impact. My fans, for a non-fan wrestling fan, is going to look at this match, and they want to watch how Undertaker came to the WrestleMania streak. They're going to want to see Shawn Michaels while he's Mr. WrestleMania, and it's going to show some of the greatest matches of all time in wrestling history. And WWE was fun too.
Time. All right, the wrestling debating has finished. It's time to crown a champion. Cody, I know you don't want to go to you first, but it's how the order worked out. So, Cody, where do you stand on this?
This is how the judges feel every time I debate, because, gosh, I want to shoot myself. Jeremy, JTH, can you give me the question one more time?
Yes. Question is, what match would you show a non-wrestling fan to convert them into a wrestling fan?
Okay. To put all my cards on the table, I think both of you did not argue the question. I think you argued the match. So I think it comes down to, I think there were slight talks, but there was a lot of repeats from one and a lot of new from the other. This is against everything I believe in. I'm going to hear about this for the next 70 years if it happens. But my point has to go to Nico, because Nico actually talked about it, and I don't understand why the age makes a difference in this match, because that doesn't matter. It's the match quality and how you convert a fan. And he kind of talked about the jumping point and where they could follow. I completely disagree with the Saudi Arabia bit, but overall he explained it and kind of answered the question the best, and that was a very loose stretch of best because it was more best match instead of who could convert somebody. So I had to go with Nico.
All right, so it'll go to me next, and I kind of felt the same way when it came to what Cody was bringing up. I like the fact that Richard did bring up the fact of the match quality, but didn't quite do as much as what the question was kind of alluding to, as to what you show a non-wrestling fan to get them into the wrestling. whereas Nico, while he didn't do much of it, I think he did enough to kind of prove his point. So I'm going to have to agree with Cody, and I'm going to have to award this point to Nico. And
Whew.
the celebration.
Excuse me for one
commended.
moment.
Is he going to jump into a pool
I don't know. He's gonna do something.
and wait?
He's got
And
a
wait.
belt. He's got a belt. I can't.
I'm sorry,
What's
I
that?
had to do it.
I want
What's
to
that?
change my vote. I want to
Yeah,
change my vote.
I
I want to
did.
change my vote.
Yeah. See what you've done now, Cody. Shame on you. So that's going to wrap up this great match between two very passionate wrestling fans. Let's go first to our non-winner, Richard. Richard, you came so damn close to pulling this out. How do you feel about your performance today?
Oh, I had a blast. Again, felt a little cheated with the whole Mike Tyson couldn't use the backstory towards WrestleMania, but at the same time, I felt you guys made it up when you voted for me from the New Japan. So I totally thought Nico should have won that, me personally. Congrats to Nico. You put up a hell of a fight. You won. Congrats to you being the first ever Chokeslam champion. I am definitely going to come back. Have myself is not the last time you see me. I mean, I'm still 2-1, still a pretty good record, and right now I'm still one of the go-getters for that belt. That was all the rankings. So yeah, it was a fun time. I obviously could argue better. Words always freaking escape me, but I did hard. I did my best, and I look forward to the future.
Well said. And now let's go to the winner and the Chokeslam Wrestling Debate Champion of the world, the Cosmic Night Fury, Nico Suave Regoli. Nico, you've dreamt about this moment for quite some time. Now you have a title that apparently you had the entire time and you were waiting to show us all once this opportunity may have come. Now that you can hold that title with pride and honor, what do you have to say about this illustrious match that you just took part in?
So for the record, nothing on this title says Chokeslam Debate Championship. It actually says the Richard Boucher Spirit Award. It's something I got a couple of years ago in Taekwondo in honor of a longtime student of my dojang who passed away around the time. I've just been looking for an excuse to show this belt around as a proxy championship for something in here. And I never thought it would come in debate, but I'm very glad that I finally have a title after a near 2-year drought. I'd like to dedicate this victory to my pap and his late dog, Joey. We unfortunately lost Joey as a result of injuries from a car accident this week. And it's been hurting my pap, and I told myself a week ago I want to dedicate this match to Joey and to Pap because I know how much Pap loved that dog, and love is what keeps us going strong, and the will to keep on fighting is what keeps us going, and that's basically it. I haven't quit. No matter how many times I've been knocked down, I kept getting back up, trying to get to the spot, trying to get to the mountaintop of greatness. Trying to get that championship, and now here I am. Richard put up a hell of a fight. There were plenty of times where I thought I was done for, and I didn't mean to screw him on that third question. I was literally just asking, like, can I get some clarification on this so I know what's okay and what not okay to use? I probably should have clarified I'm prepared for either, but it is what it is. Here we are. I'm a champion. I'm a first champion. It feels great to say that. It feels great to put my name in the history books. And Cody's giving me the death stare. And I'm actually glad that he's on camera because I have a proposal. So Trivia for Thon 2 is coming up in January. I'm looking to raise some money for pediatric cancer research in January. And I told myself there's one of two matches that I want depending on how I did for this championship. If we
Nico, you don't want us.
No, let me clarify. If a contender can be found based on the people who wanted to compete in this realm and based on who was in the tournament, I will defend my title against them at Trivia for Thon. If a contender cannot be found in time for January, then I would like to face Cody in a debate that takes care of all the mediums of TMG entertainment. I call it the 6 degrees of debate match. Let's take questions from every single medium, from movies, from games, from nerd stuff, from TV, from wrestling, and from sports. Let's put them all into one match, and let's just go best of 6 for charity.
Okay, I'm gonna just answer this real quick. You want to challenge me on the entire realm of TMG that I'm literally in contention for 4 of the 6 championships, and the only reason you can hold that belt right now is because I decided not to be in the tournament? Whatever you want, Nico. It's your funeral. You do what you want. Literally, everybody has tried. Everybody has failed so far, and
hey, nobody's titles are on the line, and I'm just going for entertainment's sake. Like, people will love
do
it.
you one better for Trivia for Thon. If I lose to you in a debate of all 6, you can have all 4, because I will have all 4 by the end of it. You can have all 4 of my championships. I will gladly give them to you, because there's not a shot in hell of you ever taking me in a debate. Because if Brooklyn Vale never did, if James White, after I destroy him, will not, if Isaac Horvath, if Matt Rosa, if Nicholas Tuig, if Sean Wasserkrug after I murder him, if the list goes on and on. If they can't beat me, there's not a shot in hell. You'll win the wrestling one, congratulations. You may win the game one because you may pick a category that helps you. The rest of them, you will be a bloody pulp on the floor. If you want to do this for Trivia-thon and you want to die on screen, bring it on. I will gladly accept, and if I lose, you can have my belts.
All right. So apparently we're going to have a debate murder for the benefit of charity. Woohoo! So celebrate, everybody. Doug looks like he has already seen a murder on camera. Did you?
I don't know what to say after that. Nico, I'll say a prayer. I don't know, man. There's not much I can say.
I'll just say the only reason why Cody can say he has all those belts is because he's never played me. He's never played JTH. I'd do that in an instant. And hopefully Cody will never see or hear of that. Cody, do you want to plug anything? Oh, he's already left. I guess we're not going to hear from him. So let's go to Doug now. Where can the good people find you?
Find me on TMG. Keep an eye out for the Nerd Fight #1 contender match, which is between Cody and Alan. And then what Cody already alluded to is going to be the championship match in our race to the finals, I guess, for Nerd Fights. Game Zone, keep an eye out for the championship for that. That's going to be a lot of fun. We have some interesting matches going there. Go check us out on go check me out on Take 3 as well. Bloody Manor. I host that once a week. Horror podcast with a bunch of people. It's a roundtable discussion. We break down horror. I don't know when this match is going to air. So
tomorrow, maybe?
Okay. It's airing tomorrow, hopefully. So make sure that you check out this Friday. We're doing Scream. Also, we have exhibition matches coming out for trivia. So keep an eye on that. And then check me out on Fan Leagues. Yeah, sorry about all the big plugs.
All right. That was a lot of plugs, but we don't care. That just gives our editor so much more to edit as this comes up online within about 12 hours maybe. So have fun doing the editing, guys. So now let's go to our players. Let's go to Richard. Where can the good people find you online?
They can find me on Facebook under Richard Schwartz. You can find me on YouTube under External Void, where I do WWE Champions Mobile Gaming. And normally at this time, I would say you find me driving around Los Angeles because I got nothing better else to do. But I got into a car wreck last Saturday, so my cars no longer do that. So I'm very sad I can't walk. Now you have to see me walk around LA because I got nothing better else to do.
That's all right. I've done some walking around LA. It's actually quite fun. And there are good good In-N-Out burgers and good wiener schnitzels out there. So now let's go to our champion of the new wrestling debate, Chokeslam Wrestling Debate, Nico Regoli. Where can the good people find you?
Facebook, Twitter, YouTube at Nico Regoli, or just Nico Suave with 4 random English numbers at the end on Discord, Instagram, Snapchat, and LinkedIn coming soon. Hashtag give Nico a job. Combat Wrestling Trivia on Facebook, Combat Wrestling Network on YouTube. The poorly made Twitter handle is at Combat Wrestling, the number 2. There is no letter G. Dedicated to art or at D2A channel, depending on the social media platform. Check out our Facebook group, check out our YouTube channel, check out our Schmodown reactions, check out the Who Cares Anyway podcast every Friday evening at 8:30 p.m. Eastern time. And of course, Trivia for Thon 2 coming in January, raising money for the 4 Diamonds Pediatric Cancer Research Fund. Looks like we're doing a debate. Either I'll be defending this title or Cody Newberry and I will be going throughout all the realms of TMG Entertainment, which should be a barn burner or a slaughter. Either way, you will be entertained, and I hope to raise $10,000 for that. And I'll see you in Orlando, if you're in Orlando, for the Schmodown Live.
Get it correct. It's Orlando.
I've seen the Book of Mormon. I've seen the Book of Mormon.
Book of Mormon.
Okay, I'm not sure where that went, but
everybody gets a point.
Oh, yay! Point for me. You can find me on Twitter at WWEJTH1, and you can find me on my own YouTube channel, JTH, where I do my own personal Schmodown reactions. If you saw the Call to Action podcast last Friday night, you saw them plug me for 2 seconds, the best 2 seconds of my life. So. Yeah, that pretty much covers everything. So on behalf of...
someone actually is trying to come in.
Is that so?
They're sending them the link now. I don't know. Somebody's trying to come in. It's someone that's a part of a certain organization that Nico knows.
Oh, dear. Where is this going?
I think he's a heel.
Oh, God.
Congratulations, Nico, on winning the belt. And what was your 7th attempt this year? I mean, not that I would know, because I lost count for so many attempts. I mean, it only took me once against you, nonetheless. But I'm not here to talk smack to you. I'm actually here to help you, because I know how hard you worked for that. I know how much that belt means to you. And I would hate for people to call you a paper champion like I've been called a paper champion. So I want to see if you could put your money where your mouth is.
Do you know?
Yeah, in November, as you know, Combat Wrestling Trivia has an event, Survivor. And I'm so smart. And I thought, why just do trivia? Why not have a debate? Why not take the champion of Chokeslam and the champion of Combat Wrestling Trivia and put them in a debate to see who has more wrestling knowledge? So what do you say, pal?
One condition. If I accept and I beat you, I get a shot at your belt.
Well, see, the thing is, I would, but I won't. So, no. It is a debate, not a trivia. I will not risk my title in a debate.
Then why should I risk mine? Let's make things interesting.
I never said it was for your title.
It sounded like you were implying it.
I wasn't. But it will be a non-title match just for fun.
Fair enough, then. Accepted. Challenge accepted.
All right. See you in November, Nico.
So that just happened.
Does everyone wear sunglasses indoors who's a heel? Seriously.
Apparently
I think so.
Apparently so.
It's a requirement. It's like in D&D, you have requirements. Sunglasses is one.
So where were we? Oh,
I think we were closing out.
Yes.
yeah. So to wrap this all up, bye.
Bye.
Take care.
Yeah.
Nico cheated.
Great.